Very, very good afternoon to you, and welcome to the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Open Cup. This, of course, is a part of the KLPGA. My name is Glenn Mascarenas, and I'm here to take you through the day's events. We are into round two, where Lee Ga-yong has taken the top spot, along with Lee Shu-ying, and they are in tied first with a 10 under par overall. Remember yesterday, of course, as we finished the day's events and everybody got through their routine work at the green, it really was Lee Ga-yong who really showed us some spectacular stuff. So she is probably going to be the golfer to watch out for. We'll know by the end of the day. But having said that, it's anyone's guess. It's impossible to predict, isn't it? Moving down now. It's the tee off there for Park Min-ji on hole number 6. That's an absolutely spectacular tee off. Driving that really well. Actually went in with the iron for that, and she'll be happy with that. She will be extremely happy. Don't forget, of course, Park Min-ji is the defending champion. She won this event last year, and it's going to be very interesting to see if she can actually, make the grade, pull off a win this year as well. All said and done, it's always going to be a tough call between a couple of these ladies that we are looking at. But more importantly, yes, Park Ji-young now going with a 6 iron, 168 meters for the 6th hole. That's the distance. It's a par 3 for the asking. Let's put that into decent place on the green, but not as close as Park Min-ji's effort. Now they've been grouped together, so that's going to be interesting to see how they will actually perform in today's event. Let's also remind you, of course, that we're looking at prize money of about 800 million Korean won. We'll break that down for you in US dollars in a bit, but right now it's the third shot on hole number 5 for Lee Ga-yong. Just narrowly missing out on that. I think she would have liked to have cleaned that up as soon as possible. Just gauging that incline. That is so important, isn't it? You always wonder, when you're a kid, why do golfers squat, sit so much, bend so much? It's one of the reasons why they have to be flexible and fit as well. And it's really about that level, right? About that surface. It's so important to be able to actually navigate through, the ups and downs, kind of like life. And she'll get a cheer for that. So decent enough here. So our golfers have got off to a good start here today. Hankyung also gave us some amazing moments yesterday. It's now Choi Rim here. She goes in for her 2nd stroke, and that's on the 8th hole, 87 meters to the hole. It's a par 4 that we're looking at. Oh, that is a phenomenal shot. An absolutely phenomenal shot from her. She's put that right in spot for a birdie. It shouldn't be too much of a hassle for her to actually clean that up, and she'll do it fairly well. Meanwhile, here looking for the finish, it's Park Hankyung aiming for birdie on hole number 7. Well, just narrowly missing out on it, and I think she's disappointed. That one-handed tap-in would have said it all. And that's the good thing about golfers, isn't it? Your greatest rival, your greatest competitor is never really another golfer. It's you yourself. It's really about competing against yourself to better yourself with every stroke. Moon Jeong-min with the 2nd stroke on hole number 9. And she also has put herself in a good spot to finish with an under par on this hole. Park Ji-young on her second stroke for the 6th hole. Will have to finish with an on par, and that's exactly what she does. Lee Da-hyun, meanwhile, on her second stroke. 100 meters to the hole. This is for the 7th hole. It's a par 4 for the asking. She's put herself on the green, but there are a few, well, uneven surfaces on that spot which can be a tad bit unpredictable. Well, do remember we've got thunderstorm and rain showers predicted for Monday and Tuesday, but we're just hoping that the weather keeps up and behaves itself for today. It did yesterday, and now Hong Ji-won, hole number 6, that's a second stroke, attempting for birdie. Oh, just skimmed that border, didn't it? Now this is an interesting group that we're looking at, really. You know, Park Ji-young, Hong Ji-won. Here's Hong Jung-min. He's got a 2 over par, 7th hole, second stroke. Oh, beautiful placement, absolutely wonderful placement, and that stayed put. There's been a tad bit of sun around the area. It's been, well, I'd say fairly pleasant. Temperature in these areas normally starts off at about 19 or 20, 21, dips to that back again, you know, in the night. And it's very comfy. It's very, very pleasant to, you know, just get up and get a walk around. Park Min-ji, 2.6 meters to the hole, attempting a birdie on hole number 6. And she's nailed it. Looks like she just might be hitting a stride here today. She's looking confident, Park Min-ji. She's had 3 birdies in all. She's up to a 5 under par. Had a bit of a slow start yesterday. Struggled through much of the day, and I think it was just about her getting settled. I don't know, a question of nerves. And that's really the beauty of you know, the sport. If you're in the zone, you're in the zone. And Lee Da-hyun was the golfer who was in the zone. We're going to keep tabs on her just to find out, well, how she's going, because she just might be, you know, the dark horse in this tournament. She's an excellent golfer. She's very competitive, but was spectacular on round 1. Just need to get all those fibers out of the way, or more importantly, the grass. It's Hong Ji-won. Will look to settle on par with her 3rd effort. This, of course, is on hole number 6. And she does. Well, as long as you can keep it neutral or negative, well, that's what you need. Hole number 9, here's Ko Ji-yu on a 3rd stroke. She'll aim for birdie. She's 3 under par overall with a score here today, and that might be a very, very interesting, well, score for her, because she can go from strength to strength. Just a narrow miss there, and she'll have to settle for an on par finish. Well, these spots can always be very, very tricky. She will take that, no worries at all from her. Here's Choi Yi-rim, aiming for birdie. Remember, she had placed that ball beautifully, and she takes the score up to a 4 under par overall. After her 8th hole, she's had 1 bogey and 2 birdies in there in that first 9. Shouldn't be too tough here to finish with the birdie, and that's what she does. Moon Jung Min, which gets her down to a 3 over par. And as long as you can keep pulling it down further, well, that's the way to go, isn't it? Keep in mind the fact that this course, of course, has been a very, very interesting one. Let's remind you once again that we are coming at you live from the Fortune Hills Country Club, where Park Min-ji seems to be really hitting a stride. It's hole number 7 as she tees off, 368 meters, a par 4 for the asking, and that's a very good spot on the fairway for her. She's just looking a lot more confident today. Well, she was in good spirits yesterday too. She's an absolutely lovely golfer to come across. Very humble. She does enjoy the sport so much. A tad bit reserved, but she's a very, very good athlete and knows how to rein it in, especially when the chips are down. So today we'll be seeing a resurgence from her. Meanwhile, here's her group member Hong Ji-won as she tees off on hole number 7. Hasn't been the brightest day for her, but it could get better. And just gaining a bit of momentum with that bounce. So I think she'll be happy with that shot too, Hong Ji-won. And that's Lee Ji-young going off on hole number 6. She tees off. We'll be looking at. Well, she's just placed herself on the edge of the green. Remember, this is a par 3. Fairly clear blue skies for us here today, so I don't think there should be too much of a worry as far as the temperature is concerned. Park Bo-kyum on her second stroke, hole number 8. So just a quick look at our leaderboard. Lee Ga-young sits there with a 4 under par from today's efforts and 10 under par overall score. Lee Shu-ying is in tied first with a 10 under par. And of course, you've got the mid section, and then you've got, of course, the others that prop up the top of the table. So I've always said this, it's always interesting times here for us. Let's quickly remind you, of course, just in case you've joined us a tad bit late, this is the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Cup 2023. We started with 132 golfers. That, of course, has been pretty much halved. We are the Fortune Hills Country Club in Sanseong-bukri, Gunimyeon, Pocheon-si, Gyeonggi-do, and this is in Korea Republic, of course. It's been a fairly interesting day for us. Park Min-ji won this tournament last year in 2022, and she did it with a sudden death finish. It was something she really earned. So it'll be left to be seen today whether she can actually step it up, bring that same magic back here today. It looks like she is slowly, and that'll be interesting to figure out what she can bring to the table, to the green. We'll find out more about that later, but for now, let's also very quickly remind you that it's been, as I said, a fairly easy morning. It's not been really troublesome as far as the weather is concerned. There's been a bit of wind draft, and I think that that could really create, it could create a few worries if you're not too well careful. The shot selections have to be so important. You've got to try and figure out, you know, what you can come up with, and what is really needed for you to bring to the table at this point of time. Well, just looking at the temperature right here in Pocheonsi, Gyeonggi-do, we started off with humidity at about, 59, 60%. It's about 61% currently. Temperature actually can go up fairly high. To be fair, yesterday it was much cooler. Today it's about 30 degrees Celsius, 30, 31. But to be fair, due to the wind and this beautiful, greens all around, it kind of feels like it's about 27, 28. A wind, of course, traveling at about 6 kilometers per hour. So it's not really that troublesome, but partly cloudy skies and sunny weather. That's what's expected today and tomorrow as well. But tomorrow it's going to be a lot hotter. Come Monday, all the way to Saturday, and that's an entire week, it's going to be thunderstorms, rain showers, and of course, lightning as well. Now, it's a perfect setting, isn't it? It's like this tournament was just planned so perfectly. So you'd have like 3 great days, and I do believe, I hope that stays up right till tomorrow, because it's always nice to have pleasant weather for a good round of golf. Back to the green for us. And Lee Da-hyun will aim for birdie on her 7th hole. 6.6 meters. She has gauged that incline and just a tad bit off. It's all about being able to, conquer those areas. Decent banana ball from her, but she'll take it. She's another wonderful golfer to watch in action. Great temperament on the green. Hong Jung-min aiming for birdie on her 7th hole. And that's straight and easy. Had a clear sight of it. I don't think there was too much of an incline there. 2 bogeys, but 1 birdie will keep her at a 1 over par after the 7th hole in round 2. A Choi Rim gets that iron into motion on a 2nd stroke. This is for the 9th hole. Absolutely wonderful placement. Now she can, of course, just keep her calm and carry on. As is cliche to say, she just might finish with she should be able to finish with an under par here on this hole. So interesting. So the 7th hole, it's a par 4 hole located on the access road. The entire green, of course, is surrounded by hazards. It's an island green hole, keep in mind the fact. And it's connected by 2 beautiful wooden bridges. I do love this this particular hole very much. But after comfortably taking a tee shot, you've got to keep it to the left of the bunker in front. Otherwise, the effects of the hazards and the wind can be very important. That 2nd shot is a crucial one. The tee off is not really the big problem. So remember, it's an island green that we are talking of. It's surrounded on all sides by water. And it's Hong Ji-won who started off, placed that fairly into a good spot. In winter, of course, hole 7, normally all golfers will try and drop it right in front of the green, or closer to well, the flagstick, but not beyond it. Here's Park Ji-young. She's on to her second stroke. Well, after Hong Ji-won. That's onto the green as well. As long as you can, keep yourself out of that water hazard, that is so important. Remember, it's this second shot that is the most important. It's only because of the wind, draft, and more importantly that very important hazards. Now Park Woo-kyum, she's on to her attempt for birdie, and she'll nail it easy on the 8th hole. She'll be satisfied about that as well. Takes her up to a 4 under par. That's the first birdie today on hole number 8. It's been a fairly consistent, first 9 for her without too many, problems. No bogeys in there. Park Min-ji on her second. And she's got herself into a decent position as well. Very close to Hong Ji-won. Remember, they are, partners in crime here, grouped together today. Park Ji-young, Hong Ji-won, and Park Min-ji. Park Min-ji, of course, currently leading as of week 25. She was leading the rankings with her overall points. Lee Jae-young will look for an on-par finish on hole number 6. And just a narrow miss, and that's going to put a spoke in the wheel. She's got an 8 under par overall score. Remember, she was one of the leaders yesterday. She was the joint top leader, and I think it's just a bit frustrating when you have to bogey one, especially when you've been leading the way. Choi Yi-rim aims for birdie on the 9th hole, can get a score up to a 5 under par. It's about, and that does it, nice and easy. So about 3.5 or 4 meters there. That's a second consecutive birdie. She's got 5 under par and an overall score of 34 on the first 9. I think she'll be happy about that. Im Jin-hee onto her second stroke. This is for hole number 8. She's carrying a 2 under par overall score so far in the event. Well, I did promise you that I was going to tell you what the prize money is, which is about 800 million Korean won, or that's about 616,489 USD. There have been a couple of winners to talk about, and we'll run through that with you in just a little bit. But Lee Da-yeon is up next with the second stroke on hole 8, 64 meters to the hole, and this is something that she'll have to be very, very careful about. She wouldn't want to get too much of club on that, and that's exactly what she does. So that wind resistance and the incline, you can see that flagstick moving, and you know that there's a 6 kilometers per hour is what we're looking at, but she'll be absolutely happy with that. She's put herself into a very, very good spot for her next stroke. Or for the putt. When you want to fly across the water, that's what Hong Jung-min is thinking of. Onto a second stroke, hole number 8, 53 meters that she has to cover. Well, I think it's just a tad bit short from where she really would have wanted to, place that ball. Park Ji-young just narrowly missing out on the birdie on hole number 7. Seen her in action so many times. She's such a dedicated golfer. Finishes with an on par. Meanwhile, here's Moon Jung-min, 111 meters to the hole, her third effort on hole number 10. But I think she'll be satisfied with that effort. Just drawing closer towards, well, finding the can. Talking of which, Park Min-ji will be hoping to, well, take that score up to a 6 under par. Oh, just that gentle incline there, turning the ball away. Would have had a 6 under par, but she'll have to finish on par. She is keeping it consistent, but remember, she's had a few trials yesterday, and it's not the usual, not just the, couple of unforced or unintended errors, I would say. Ko Ji-yu, well, errors are normally always unintended. Let me correct myself. Ko Ji-yu on to her third stroke for hole number 10. Just drawing that ball a tad bit away, but I don't think she'll be too unhappy about that. It gives her, well, just a bit of leeway. Now here's the other group member of Park Ji-young and Park Min-ji. This is Hong Ji-won, aiming for birdie here. And that slipped out. Tad bit unfortunate for her. She practically had it together. She knows she's missed out on what could have been. Park Woo-kyum, she's on to her second stroke for hole number 9. It's 133 meters. She's gone in with the 9 iron. I do love that club. Absolutely love it. It's one of the characteristic things, of course, isn't it, about using drivers, hybrid clubs, and then, of course, the 2 to 9 irons. But there are some golfers, of course, and just speaking totally out of experience, but there are some golfers who do love the use of certain clubs, even though they might not be the prescribed ones, but it's really about what gets you there, isn't it? That's really so important. So there are golfers who play with customized clubs, especially, of course, that, do keep to the standards that are prescribed by the Golf Association, but it's all about what you want to use. And it's not always that certain clubs meant for certain occasions go with that occasion. Lee Da-yeon aiming for birdie on hole number 8. She'll be looking to uplift her performance. And that's in. It looked easier than it was. You notice there's a slight incline down towards that hole, and then the dips to the right. She's 2 under par here. Lee Da-yeon was delightful to watch in action yesterday too. So Lee Da-yeon and Lee Shu-ying leading the way. Jun Yi-sung and Lee Yi-won are in tied third, and with that's 8 under par, and of course Lee So-mi, Lee Ji-young, and Hyo Da-bin are in tied 5th. That's very interesting because Lee So-mi, who was one of the main competitors last year, has really stepped up her game. She struggled through much of the first and then the mid of the back 9 as well, but she's come in stronger here today. And these are really the golfers that make the cut, isn't it? Lee So-mi now with a 7 under par, Jun Si-young and Lee Yi-won with an 8 under par. But Lee Da-yeon and Lee Shu-ying, these are the 2 golfers to keep in the spotlight today. And how they progress and what they do, I think it's so important as we get through to the round of 2 and as we get to the finish at the end of the day. It'll be very interesting to see, because the cream of the crop, of course, will be out tomorrow. But when you say the cream of the crop, it's only the cream of the crop in this particular tournament. So let's keep you in the loop that the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Cup 2023 coverage continues right here from the Fortune Hills Country Club in Gyeonggi-do, Korea Republic. We do hope you're enjoying this event with us. It's a tad bit hot outside. I can't complain being in the shade and enjoying the cool. But we do hope, of course, that you're enjoying this coverage. So stick with us right till the end of the day, and let's find out who might be the favorites to prop up from the entire pack here today. Don't go anywhere. It's back to Park Ji-young. And she's on to her second stroke for hole number 8. The one thing about finding the green, and depending on the spot where you do and depending on that incline, that's so very important. It's one of the key things, isn't it? In every single World Tournament, every single stroke, every single approach to the green, well, that's so important. She's having her, well, fair share of trials here today, there's no doubt about it. Meanwhile, Hong Ji-won will get on to her second stroke. .68 meters to the hole, that's what she's looking at. Oh, that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. She should be able to finish this with the birdie, get her overall score into better gear. Meanwhile, Park Min-ji will get on to her second stroke, for hole number 8. Remember, this is not an easy hole. Comfortable. It's got a wide fairway. And there's exotic beach bunkers if you can look at. Not for me if I land on them. And that's after the tee shot. It's an uphill hole with many bunkers around the green and a creek that runs across it. You can see that creek. Getting a bit of distance on that, Park Min-ji. Now there's plenty of room behind the green, so it's better to play big rather than short in order to avoid those 3 putts. Focus on adjusting the distance. Well, that's so important. So that was hole number 8. But elsewhere for hole number 10, yes, Ko Ji-yu will aim for birdie. And that's neatly done. I think she'll be happy with that effort. Well, needed that if you ask me. She's up to a 4 under par overall score. Here's Moon Jung-min. She also will attempt a birdie on hole number 10. And that's a ball that's afraid of the dark. There's no doubt about it. She had to tap that in, coerce it a bit. And just, well, disappointed with that effort. Well, that's when you really get close, but you do find yourself still far. Choi Yoon-woo. And respect there for that birdie. She's had 2 consecutive ones, finishes with 36 on the front 9. Well, she's had 2 bogeys as well, and I think that that's been really her, well, issue. Meanwhile, Lee Ji-young is on to her 3rd stroke, aims for birdie on hole number 7. We'll have to settle for an on-par finish. Park Ji-young, meanwhile, attempts a birdie on hole number 8. Needs to conquer that, and that will, of course, will just play truant. Shouldn't be too difficult for her to clean it up, but I don't think that that would have been the intention for her. Park Bo-kyum onto hole number 9. Just a little over 2 meters, shouldn't be a problem. Cleans that up nice and easy. measure of concentration here as she attempts to pick up another birdie. Park Min-ji, and once again have to tap that in for an on par finish. That bit of a concern for her. Lee Da-yeon, she's on to her second using the 7-iron. She's got a couple 114 meters for that 9th hole. I don't think she's going to be too concerned with that Lee Da-yeon, but she'll keep going at it like she has. And here's Park Ji-young to try and clear up, well, that on par finish as her group member Hong Ji-won steps up to attempt her next effort. We'll aim for birdie on hole number 8. And she's nailed that nice and easy. She had great positioning there, and I think she'll be happy about that. She's on to a 2 under par, 1 bogey and 2 birdies in there. Still got 1 hole left on the front 9. And meanwhile, we shift our focus now to another spot on the course where it's hole number 9, where Im Jin-hee is on to a second stroke. Very good shot there. Puts herself in good stead. It's all about getting yourself close to that flag stick, isn't it? And while we talk about it, let's very quickly get a view of hole number 10. Choi Rim is on to her 3rd stroke on hole number 10. She's carrying a 5 under par overall score. It looks like she's just got herself into a bit of the rough. Hong Ji-won, meanwhile, still on hole number 9. She's driven that absolutely well. Big cheer there for her. So interestingly, of course, we will get back to talking about hole number 10 later on, but for now, let's focus back again here where Park Min-ji sets herself into position. It's hole number 9, 366 meters. This is a par 4 that we're looking at. You've got to observe the snowman rock that stands tall there, and you've got to go after, which is after the green. You've got to keep your eyes on that. There's an OB area on the left from the tee off, so if you hit to the right side a lot, it's better to get a good bit of distance with that hook, and then of course you got to look at the snowman rock and hit for it. That's when you go to the second shot. Better to keep it to the right than the center on the second shot. So it's really the second shot that's a tricky one here on hole number 9. On to Park Ji-young. This week's driving distance has been about 222 meters approximately for hole number 9. Gaining a good bit of momentum on that, Park Ji-young. Yes, Lee Da-yeon onto her third stroke for hole number 9. Will aim for birdie. And that does it nice and easy. Bit of a trickle there, but it's got itself into position and hits the tin cup. Well, 34 on the front 9. She's had 2 birdies in there and even scores for the rest of the holes. Will be interesting to see how Lee Da-yeon comes back in that back 9. And meanwhile, while we talk about her, just trying to get herself out of the cat box. Here's Choi Yi-rim. Her 4th effort. Driving that well towards the edge of the green, but I don't think it's going to concern her too much. Just trying to get the sand out of the way. Here's Im Jin-hee on to her 3rd stroke. Hole number 9. Will attempt a birdie here. That's just going to sit on the rim. Needs to tap in. Needs to be coursed a bit. Rejection from the tin cup. But you need to cover that distance. Get across the water. Lee Ji-young onto a 2nd stroke, 49 meters to the hole. Just drops that a tad bit short, I'd say. That rolls back into the rough. And that's what that incline does, isn't it? That's just a very tricky incline on this hole. And, well, it does count for a lot of, well, planning and thought before you can actually take this shot.
상관없어요.
Hong Ji-won will attempt a 2nd stroke on hole number 9. Remember, this is a very, very tricky shot. You've got to keep yourself more towards the right. You've got to make sure that you don't get down the center. You've got to look at that snowman rock that is just beyond the green. Keep your eyes on it. That forms actually a kind of a target background. There's a good bit of area behind the flag stick, so actually you can't get yourself into hot water here. It's really about being able to, we'll just land that a tad bit closer towards the flag stick. Now here's Park Min-ji. She'll go with her attempt. Second stroke. 154 meters to the hole. But I'd just love to have got another shot of that choice of iron that she went with. And she's put herself into a different area on the green. She's all smiles. Been in a very good temperament today from Park Min-ji. Park Ji-young, the other group member, goes in with her 2nd stroke. And that's always the story, isn't it? When you can have group members park their, well, strokes on different areas of the same green. And it's well spread out. Well, I do believe as long as you can keep it close to, well, the flag stick, there's always a bit of joy for you. Choi rim. Almost settling that with the birdie, but a tad bit unfortunate for her. Will finish with an on par. She's come so close to, oh, she's actually finished with the bogey here on her first of the back nine, and I think that's a bit worrying if you ask me. Lee Ga-young and Lee Shu-ying continue to lead the way here at the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Open. Jun Ye-sung and Lee Yi-won, of course, in tied third with 8 under par. Lee So-mi, Lee Ji-young and Hyo Da-bin are in tied fifth with a 7 under par. And that's an interesting take because coming up after that, we've got a quartet with a 6 under par and tied 8th. Was just looking back at Minji Park and what she's done, in the past couple of years. She's 24 years old. Will turn 25 in September. Turned pro in 2016. She joined the KLPGA the next year. She finished second in the rookie race in 2017 and made 366 million won. Finished 13th on the tour money list. Since then, of course, it's been a rise for 448 million in 2018, 2019, went up to 630 million won. And she's just gone from strength to strength. Well, while there was so much of a problem during the pandemic and there was not many, events happening, but the moment it returned, the KLPGA returned, and then, of course, 9 total top 10 finishes. That's what Minji Park had. And finally, of course, she went on. 2021 turned out to be the big year for her. And in 2022, she was in flying form. So we'll have to see whether she can defend her title here, because she's currently still the reigning champion. And 2023, we might just have a new champion or, Minji Park to reclaim that spot. Let's not forget she's got Lee Ga-young there to contend with and Lee Shu-ying. So we do continue with our coverage of round 2 right here from the Fortune Hills Country Club in Korea Republic. We are, of course, currently in the heart of Gyeonggi-do. Let's also very quickly remind you that we've had a couple of big winners who were in the tournament who've fallen along the wayside. Now, the 18th June DB Group Korea Women's Open Golf Championship, which is a major, was won by Hong Ji-won. She's grouped along with Minji Park and Ji-young Park. Let's also very quickly remind you that we've had other winners along the way, and that has included Park Min-ji, who on 11th June won the Celtrion Queen's Masters. Bang Shin-sil, who had it tough yesterday, had won the E1 Charity Open, and that was on 28th May. And you also got Lee Da-yeon, who was a winner of the other major on 30th April. She won the Korea's FNC KLPGA Championship. Lee Yi-won, who's struggled a tad bit today. She started the year with a win on 9th April when she won the Lotte Rent-A-Car Women's Open. So big winners here, including Im Jin-hee and Sung Yoo-jin, who struggled much through yesterday. Left to be seen what exactly, our ladies can bring to the table here today. But Park Min-ji is still that golfer to watch in this event, along with Lee Ga-young and Lee Shu-ying. Stay with us, don't go anywhere as we continue with live action from the KLPGA. Park Min-ji just denied of a birdie here. Will have to settle for another on par finish, and I don't think she's going to be too happy about that. She's had about 3 or 4 that she's actually missed out, which were well within kissing distance. So here it is. As long as she keeps those bogeys off, but finishes her first 9 with 3 birdies and an overall of 33. I think she's still keeping herself in good stead. She's got the back 9 to go through. Having said that, the tee off for hole number 10. Here's Lee Da-yeon. Now they're asking, of course, is it's a bit of a tough call here when you're looking at hole number 10. It's a par 5. We'll get to hole number 10 later, but for now, there's Park Ji-young on hole number 9 attempting birdie. Always think those, well, that encouragement from the supporters and the fans will always get the ball to, travel a bit more, give it a bit more legs. But so right here on hole 10. To Lee Da-yeon, it's Im Jin-hee. 570 meters is what we're looking at. Both Lee Da-yeon and Im Jin-hee have been winners in this year. And that's going to travel the distance. Gets herself off the rough and onto the smooth. Well, absolutely wonderful shot there from Im Jin-hee. Im Jin-hee, of course, did win the NH Investment and Securities Ladies Championship on the 14th of May. It was also 800 million won was the prize, overall prize money. Very interesting from her. And let's not forget that Lee Da-yeon has also been in good stead, but it's Hong Ji-won who's just landed a consecutive birdie, gets up to a 3 under par, 34 on the first 9. And I think that's a good finish for her. It's probably the company of those other 2 great golfers in there as well that's just kind of keeping her moving. Well, she is coming on the back of a win. Hong Ji-won, don't forget that she won the 18 June DB Group Korea Women's Open Golf Championship. That was 1,200 million Korean won. Big, really big. And those majors are what really can be, the crowning glory. Is Park Bo-kyum will miss out on the birdie, and she's had a bit of a troubling day today, and well, she's definitely shown it. She's struggled a tad bit, and I think she's been very unhappy about every single of those last 4 or 5 holes where she's got close to actually nailing the birdie, been in perfect position, and either she's picked up a Cuban on it or just had, well, she's lipped out on one as well. Choi Rim will attempt birdie for hole number 11. This, of course, is her second effort. She's got 13.6 meters to the hole. It's a bit of a tough ask, but if she can finish it, that's what really matters, isn't it? When you have a tad bit of incline, you don't want to push that ball too much, a bit too much of wrist on it, a bit too much of a jab, and it just might take that ball past its destination. She will have to settle for an on par finish. No change in the leaderboard, with Lee Da-yeon and Lee Shu-ying leading the way. Jun Ye-sung and Lee Won, of course, are in tied third. Lee So-mi, I wouldn't put it past her to actually make it into that tied third, or probably chase the top spot for today's finish. That's in round 2. Lee Jae-young and Hyo Da-bin are also in tied 5th. You've got Jung Ji-min, Bai Soo-yeon, and Kwon Seo-yeon in tied 8th. They've got 6 under par. And it's interesting to see whether they, along with, well, their group members, can actually step it up to break into that, higher region. So still in tied 8, of course, Dan Yu Park is also there with a 6 under par. Then in tie 12, we've got Park Min-ji along with Han Ji-won, Kim Ji-soo and Roh Seung-hee. They are, 5 under par overall. It's going to be interesting to see how they can actually make it through, because Jimin Park, to be fair, it's kind of interesting to see what they can bring to the table, because keep in mind the fact that when you're down to a tied 12th, it can be quite a task. You've got to actually keep yourself on top of that top 9 right through. Here's another past winner and very interesting golfer, Lee Da-yeon. She's on to her second stroke for hole number 10, 306 meters to the hole. 3 under par's overall score so far in the event. Just got herself onto the rough, and I think I was just having a word there with her caddy about that. Choi Rim looks to get an on-par finish here for hole number 11, and that's exactly what she does. And elsewhere, always a good thing to get Im Jin-hee onto her second stroke, 291 meters to the hole, and this is for hole number 10. Well, I would say a decent enough spot on the fairway, just keeping itself still in the clean. As long as you can stay on the smooth, it will tend to, of course, work better in your favor. Lee Ji-young attempting to find that on higher ground, but will put that, well, just towards the edge, and that's rolled onto the rough. Bit of an incline there, or a decline, and that, of course, well, won't keep her very satisfied with that effort. But we move on now for a tee off here as we continue with our action at the Fortune Hills Country Club. Park Bo-kyum using an 8-iron, 171 meters for the 11th hole. She's got a 4 under par overall score. And this hole, of course, tends to be another one of those, well, tricky ones. It's got a steep downhill. You can avoid the bunker on the right by hitting your tee shot slightly to the left, which means, and that's exactly what she's done, you need to try and get a drive there, and you need to drive it extremely well. But right there on the edge of the green, she really hasn't been at her best in terms of spirit, and I don't blame her. She's had about 5 consecutive birdies that were missed. Let's get a quick view of hole number 10. Always one of the interesting ones as far as we are concerned. It's a dogleg hole on the left. It's a par 5. Fairly difficult. There's a bunker on the left, as you can see. So you got to be careful that you hit it in the direction of the second light on the side, and you got to hit it so that it stays away from that bunker. This requires a precise shot, as the IP area is very narrowed on that second shot. So as you can see, that area down there where there's the bunker on the left, it just kind of narrows in, and you've got to try and get your shot a tad bit to the right, but not too much if you want to get to that flagstick. So that it's a par 5, and the second and third shot, I do believe, are the most important. Now once you get it on the right, you can see that there's the decline down there, just the downhill, which can make it fairly difficult. So here's Hong Ji-won to tee off for the 10th hole. It's a good wallop from her. She's a respected golfer. seasoned as well. It's done well in recent times. The winner of the previous week's tournament, the major. And she's kept her spirit well up and running. So has Park Min-ji, one of my favorite golfers in the KLPGA. And I do love her just for her temperament. Absolutely wonderful the way she goes about her business. It's always a routine day at the office. Some days it's a good day, some days it's a bad one, some days it could be better, and that's exactly the expression says it all. And she's always got a smile. Just gets onto the rough there with that tee off. I don't think she'll be too happy about it, but keep in mind the fact, as long as you can stay out of those bunkers, you're pretty much, you know, keeping yourself more or less in line with reaching the destination. Now here's Park Ji-young. Park Ji-young is on to her tee off. Today's driving accuracy has been 100%. She's managed to stay on the smooth right throughout. And this time I believe it'll be the first time to actually get herself onto the rough. I don't think she's going to complain too much about that because, well, you're still not in any troubled waters. And elsewhere we move on, of course, to an attempt to get that out of the rough. And that's exactly what she does here. Lee Da-yeon has been in such good form in this year, but this tournament, of course, she's on to her 10th hole. We're looking at her third effort, 105 meters to the hole. Remember, the 10th, I did mention, is not the easiest. It's got its own fair share of, well, trials. I did mention this, that the sun was up, and it was up, well, it's cloudy skies. It's a bit deceptive. It's not really bright and glaring, but it's about 30-31 degrees Celsius. It can be a tad bit hot. Lee Ji-young looking to finish on par on hole number 9. Remember, she was one of the big movers yesterday. She's still 7 under par. Would like to change that. Needs to concentrate. Analyze that distance. Analyze, well, that slight downhill run. And just a tad bit of a worry here for her. She'll finish on par. I don't think she's going to be concerned too much, but it's been fairly trying for her. Here's Im Jin-hee. Hole number 10. She's on to her third stroke. It's 84 meters, the distance that she's got to cover, and she's done fairly well. That's I would call that a fairly decent shot. Gives herself a fighting chance. Choi Rim, meanwhile, using the 6-iron, 148 meters. She's got a cover for hole number 12. She's on to her second stroke. Still going to be a bit of a tough ask for her, but as long as she stayed away from, well, the hazards, I think she'd be happy. Park Kyum on her 11th hole. Remember, it was just a par 3 for the asking, 171 meters, but it's a tad bit of a tricky hole. Of course, it's got a wide fairway, towards the green, and she'll just miss out on the birdie. We'll try and clean it up with an on-par finish. And it certainly looks like it's going to be an interesting one here for that second effort for Hong Ji-won. Drives it. 517 meters is the total that we're talking about. I do believe she's got a decent spot on the fairway, and I think that's going to work well for her. She'll be quite satisfied with that effort. She's gone from strength to strength from the early part of the morning. I do believe that she took just a tad bit of time to settle in. Here's Lee Da-yeon, aims for birdie on hole number 10, 10.7 meters. Oh, that's just gonna fall shy of the destination by quite a distance. I was just trying to gauge that. Well, slight decline towards the right. Bit of a descent there that she would have tried to avoid. Here's Park Min-ji. Second stroke, 300 meters to the hole. We'll go on with the hybrid for this one. As long as she can stay on to that smooth, I think she'll be happy. Umbrella is one of the most fascinating parts of this sport, isn't it? I do have a couple, absolutely cherish them. Not for anything else, it just beautifully sponsored and branded, and they work extremely well. They last for years, but so important umbrellas in this. Hong Jung-min, she's on to her 5th stroke. We'll look for an on-par finish for hole number 10. And she'll just land up bogeying that. Don't think that's going to be, well, too much of a morale booster for her, but she'll just have to take it as it is. Meanwhile, here's Lee Da-yeon's group member. They've been having a bit of a battle as well. Im Jin-hee will aim for birdie on hole number 10. And just a narrow miss as well. Almost lipped out, but it just kind of skimmed that area. She'll settle for an on-par. Once you're done to that thought process, but just converting it into action, especially on that green, is actually one of the most difficult parts of any, well, pro golfer, isn't it? A Choi rim, just falling shy of the birdie. Will finish with an on par. Won't change her overall score, but it won't. We'll take it into the positive region, and she'll be happy about that. Here's Lee Da-yeon. Also looks to will finish with an on par. This is for hole 10, which is that difficult hole we all spoke about and that we've seen through yesterday as well. And that's nice and easy. So we'll finish with an on par here. Lee Da-yeon starts her back nine with a neutral. It's 3 under par, her overall score. Park Min-ji. Park Min-ji on to her third stroke. It's for the 10th hole. And she's put herself at quite a distance. A birdie might just be out of the question. She's on the rough. I think that smile from her will just say it. She knows when it's a great shot. Well, every golfer does, don't they? And especially when you get closer towards the green, you've got clear sight of where your efforts have landed. Here's Hong Ji-won. She moves on to her second as well. Now keep your eyes on that sand bunker that's to the left. She'll have to try and angle that shot towards the right. It's that tricky hole we spoke of, hole number 10. Always start off the back nine with a tad bit of a problem. 121 meters that she needs to cover, 3.2 meters plus the elevation, and I think she's pretty much got that. Well, that's actually a very, very decent shot from Hong Ji-won. Works very well on that tee off and especially on her second stroke. And it's been a bit of a habit for her, or a bit routine. It's where she really just finds, I think, that stumbling block or a bit of a hurdle is at the execution. Now it's Park Ji-young. On to her third stroke, 106 meters to the hole that she's looking at. Well, pinball I would have said, but you're just keeping her group member company, Hong Ji-won. Meanwhile, getting ready to tee off. Remember, we had that beautiful Mercedes EQ, which was the hole-in-one prize yesterday. Now, Im Jin-hee will tee off for hole number 11. She's going with a 7-iron. Not really a complex hole to conquer, but it can be, well, fairly challenging. So leaderboard shows Lee Ga-young and Lee Shu-ying still at the top. Lee So-mi now, of course, is in tied third. She's moved herself up to a 7 under par. Jun Se-young, Lee Won, and Hyo Da-bin are on tied third. Sorry, Lee So-mi is in sixth. It's an interesting equation. In tied 7, we've got a whole lot of contestants, but Min-ji Park is still, well, languishing there a bit towards the nether regions. So stay with us, don't go anywhere, as our action continues right here at the Fortune Hills Country Club. Parkman G had to get herself well just out of that rough. Oh, well, that's what she does, isn't it? She can provide, well, this really exciting moment. She's such a wonderful golfer to watch in action. Just almost did it straight out of the rough and would have been into that, well, tin cup. But I think hitting the can, not always the easiest when you're, just outside the green. Choi Yun Woo onto her second stroke. It's a par 4 for the asking on the 12th hole. And gets herself onto the green. Should be a moment of joy for her, I would believe. Meanwhile, yes, Hong Ji-won had a very good placement with her shot. Can she nail the birdie here? It's a Cuban for her. Just needs to tap that into, or clean it up, and that's exactly what she'll do with an on-par finish. So she's still 3 under par as she gets started on that back 9. Still got 8 more holes to go. Meanwhile, Park Byo-kyum is on to her second stroke for hole number 12. 114 meters that she's looking at. Park Ji-young almost nailed a birdie there, and she knows it. Such a wonderful effort from her. Very interestingly, Park Bo-kyung went in with a pitching wedge, the most lofted clubs in the iron sets. It's quite interesting. An interesting choice of world steel, I would say. Im Jin-hee using a 7-iron. She's got 11 meters to cover. It's for hole number 11. And will fall shy of finishing with an under par on this hole. Here's Park Min-ji. Will look to finish on par. And well, I think that's a bit of a concern for her. She wouldn't have wanted to bogey any of her efforts here today, but that 10th hole always a tricky one. And there it is, the hole-in-one event. I do love it, absolutely love looking at that beautiful car. It's a Mercedes ES-EQ, which is an electric. Hole number 14, 6-iron that Bae So-hyun has gone in with. That's going to roll a tad bit away from the flagstick. Meanwhile, yes, Lee Da-yeon on to her second effort for birdie. This is hole number 11 that we're looking at. 11.3 meters can be a challenge. Keep in mind the fact that that surface is not exactly flat. We'll use a banana ball for it. Oh, that's just lipped out. That's just lipped out, much to Lee Da-yeon's, well, I won't say frustration, but just trials. We'll settle for an on par, but that was an extremely good attempt from her. So Lee Da-yeon on her second in the back nine, that's on the 11th hole. She finishes with another neutral, which will keep her at 3 under par for the overall score. Over to Im Jin-hee. Looks to finish on par on hole number 11. Not too much of a problem for her to achieve that either. That 11th hole, always a unique one if you ask me. That downward incline really is a problem, and that bunker on the right. You can avoid the bunker on the right by hitting your tee shot to the left of the center. Well, that's so important. Hong Ji-won will get ready to tee off. Hole number 11 using the 6-iron. Remember what I said about that bunker on the right. And she's so good, isn't she, whenever she does tee off. Yes, Park Bo-kyung. And those worries just continue for her. It's about the 6th time that she's fallen shy of, getting that ball into the can. And I think it's just kind of getting to her because it's been time and time over again. Now Park Ji-young will tee off for the 11th as well. Not a bad effort at all from Park Ji-young.
네, 하겠습니다.
That's Park Min-ji. And she's got herself onto the rough. I think she's had a few worries with the tee off in the last few holes. That's something that she'll probably try and overcome. Well, better to finish on par than to have a worry finishing well with the bogey. Just checking the surface, Bae So-hyun. Looks to be another on par finish, and I think that's Choi Yoon Woo coming up with the goods here. Ko Ji-yu. Well, we'll miss out on the birdie. Just another wonderful golfer to watch in action, rose to prominence in the last 2-3 years. We'll settle here for an on par finish. Park Min-ji just gets a bit unsettled there on that tee off, and that's exactly what she's trying to conquer. Needs to get herself out of the rough, but she does have such fantastic, such a fantastic shot selection when she's closer towards the flagstick. 10 meters to the hole on the 11th. Will attempt a birdie for certain. Oh, that is absolutely phenomenal, and this is what she does best, isn't she? She just comes up with these amazing shots. So I had a bogey on the previous one, a wonderful birdie on this one. It's 5 under par back again for Park Min-ji on that 11th hole. And she's delighted about it. Straight out of the rough. Absolutely wonderful shot. Let's get a little look at it again. Just chipped that nice and perfect. Kept it rolling straight in. And that's a delightful effort. Absolutely delightful from Park Min-ji. And that's what makes her such a stylistic golfer, one of the main golfers to watch in the entire tour. Now here's a young lady who's had, well, just her fair share of worries. Park Bo-kyum. Park Bo-kyum has had her troubles, but she'll finish on par back again. And that's, as I said, just about 6 or 7 holes that she's had to, well, bear with, unfortunately. But now it's Park Ji-young. Can she emulate what a group member did? She also aims for birdie on the 11th hole. And that'll fall just shy, which means she will have to opt for an on-par finish. And that's exactly what she does. It's Hong Ji-won who'll get ready next. It's over to Lee Da-yeon. Onto a second stroke using a 7-iron to cover 136 meters. This is hole number 12, where the asking, of course, is a par 4. I don't think she's going to be just too satisfied with that shot, but she'll have to keep it. Here's Hong Ji-won getting ready to finish, well, her 11th. Oh, just that tad bit of that turn there. Slight slope, I think. We'll just get her to finish with an on-par year on hole number 11, and I think she just likes to clean that up. That shouldn't be too much of a worry. It's a slight incline that she's looking at. And she'll keep it steady. I think she would have been, well, rather thrilled with a birdie here, but she just missed out. So she's had, well, a 2 under par score in today's event, 3 under par overall. It's back to Im Jin-hee. Im Jin-hee on to her second effort, 127 meters to cover with a 7-iron. 366 meters is the overall asking, and it's a par 4, of course. She's put herself on the green at quite a distance from its destination, but still giving herself a fighting chance. There's Park Min-ji. Well, just that wonderful birdie in the previous hole. And there, let's get a look at it again. That's one of the highlights of the day. Absolutely wonderfully chipped. What a beautiful finish from her. And she will tee off for the 12th. It's a par 4 for the asking, 366 meters for the count. Well, she's just about hooked that, I would believe. Now this par 4 has a large hazard on the left side, which is why you want to try and keep it to the right. That's what Park Min-ji did. Of course, it's quite a grand hole. It's got its own, unique magic or unique challenges. Now the left side bunker is, of course, you've got to try and keep away from that. The direction of the time ground is, of course, it faces to the right. So if you do hit yourself against any obstacle there, you might lose distance. Now there's a creek across the fairway right in front of the green, if you get a view of it later. And it's a 3-step green. Unless you're a long hitter, you can firmly cross the creek. You've got to try and keep that ball from extending beyond the green, of course. So that second shot is going to be very important, and that's the creek I was talking about. So decent enough effort from Hong Ji-won. It's Park Ji-young who'll go next. Well, she's kept herself on the lane, and I think that should be good enough for Park Ji-young. She'll be satisfied with that effort. There's no doubt about it. Lee Da-yeon, fabulous effort there to get herself out of the rough and close to, well, the flagstick, and I think that's what is so needed. She's got to keep herself together. She's got to keep herself, well, running strong. Good effort here from Lee Da-young. That's just going to curve ever so gently, but it's not going to hit, well, the target. And as she stays away from the can, I think that that's an important part to keep in mind. Here's Im Jin-hee. Well, we did see a few results from, the dawn sweepers. We'll talk about them later as we get through that leaderboard. But right now, 13.1 meters for a birdie on hole number 12. And Im Jin-hee will pick up a Cuban on that one. Hole-in-one event. This is, of course, for hole 14. The new Mercedes ES-EQ, that beautiful electric car. Choi Rim, could she be the one driving away in it? Using a 7-iron here to cover 156 meters. And overall, back to Im Jin-hee. One needs to gauge that exactly. We'll look to finish on par here. And she'll settle for an on-par finish. On to the 10th hole for Lee Jae-young. Also will look to finish on par, and that's exactly what she does. She's still, well, 6 under par. Just dropped a tad bit in her performance today. She was really up there, had 2 bogeys in the first 9, and I think that's been a bit of a worry for her. Hong Ji-won needs to get herself, well, in good stead here. She's got 138 meters to cover on hole number 12. It's a second stroke. She'll go in with the 6-iron. I think she's put herself into the rough. Here's Choi Yun-woo on hole number 13. 152 meters to the hole. This is the 3rd stroke. And don't know whether that decline's going to actually help her or it's going to help her, but or it's going to work against her, to be precise. Yes, Park Min-ji. 366 meters overall. This is the second stroke. And I do believe that's good enough for her to try and attempt it. And what makes golfers like Park Min-ji so important, it's about being able to, be in control of those really tough, strokes or challenges and to overcome them, and she can. Lee Joo-mi onto a third stroke for hole number 13. Oh, she's put herself beautifully close to that flag stick. That's going to work wonders for her. Lee Ga-young and Lee Shu-ying still right there at the top. Now in tied third, of course, we've got Jun Se-yong, Lee Won, and Hyo Da-bin. Lee So-mi is joined by Yoon Se-lin now for a tied 6. So I do believe Lee So-mi will have to better her performance if she wants to keep that progress up the table. Currently, of course, it's, just a tad bit of a worry for her. So all said and done, it's still an interesting day right here at the Fortune Hills Country Club. We do hope that you're enjoying our coverage of this event. My name is Glenn Mascarenas. Let me very quickly remind you, of course, that this is the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Cup 2023, and we are right here in Gyeonggi-do, Korea Republic, where the temperature, of course, has been a bit trying for our golfers, but it's been clear blue sky, so partly cloudy, but blue all the same. So we continue with the event here. Don't go anywhere, as we still have the back nine that we've got to cover for our golfers, and these of course would have been the ones who were more sunrisers than dawn sweepers. Stay with us, don't go anywhere. Hong Ji-won. Oh, that's decent. Absolutely decent placement from her. I do believe she would have wanted to land it close to the flagstick, and that's exactly what she's done. Did mention this earlier, she's absolutely fantastic when it comes to the tee off, the second stroke. Did have a bit of a worry, of course, on that hole, but I don't think it's going to bother her too much. Meanwhile, an attempt here for a birdie that's going to fall short by a mile, and it's Park Bo-kyung. What's very interesting about her is for the last 10 holes, she hasn't actually gone past, the target. It's always been falling short. Park Ji-young for her 12th hole will aim for birdie with that third stroke. Just a gentle nudge there to pitch that out of the rough. And I do believe that that's so important for her. Well, every time that does happen, well, isn't it just frustrating? Well, so many of our golfers today have actually missed out on the occasion of actually finishing with an under par on those holes. Here's Park Min-ji. Well, she's given us some delightful moments in this event as well. Can she conquer this, the 12th hole? We'll aim for birdie here. Oh, that is absolutely phenomenal. That's another great finish from her, Park Min-ji. She's now up to, a 6 under par. And this is what she does. That's a beautiful banana ball. Absolutely perfect in that analysis and her judgment of the shot. So another great effort from Park Min-ji. That's what great golfers do. The ability to shorten that distance and cover it well, to bridge the distance to the can. Here's Choi Rim, finishes with the birdie on hole 14 as well. She'll be excited about that. Finally put a smile on her face. And she'll end up finishing that with an on par. Park Bo-kyung, she wasn't really too happy about her performance here today, as she's had a very, very trying time. Park Ji-young, she too hasn't been at the best of her, or at the peak of her skills, and she'll have to bogey the 12th hole. That's going to change her overall score, no doubt. So important to dig deep, especially when you're going through the motions, isn't it? Looking for birdie, Lee Joo-mi. Will finish with an on par, and I don't think she's going to be too happy with that effort. Hasn't been her best day at the office. Hong Ji-won finishes with an on par. It's a faux jack for her on the 12th hole. Still 3 under par, her overall score. Well, on hole number 10, third stroke here for Hyo Da-bin. Remember, she was one of the front runners as well yesterday. She's had a fair share of worries today. Getting ready to tee off now is Parkman G, but meanwhile, that's that wonderful finish that she gave us. But on hole number 11 and then on hole number 12. Left to be seen what she does on hole number 13 as she gets ready to tee off. It's a par 5 that we're looking at for this hole, and a very interesting one. There's a hazard on the left side, there's a cliff on the right to keep in mind. It's the longest uphill par 5 hole on the entire course. Long hitters, of course, do so well. Hong Ji-won is one of those. She's got the ability to hit long and to hit fairly accurate. There are 4 bunkers at the IP point, and it's worth to get over them. You have to conquer those bunkers because it's an uphill. 2-step green that goes up from the entrance of the green. You've got to be very careful when attacking those pins. So the 13th hole driving distance today has been 211 meters. The overall asking is 512. Well, it's a draw here for Hong Ji-won. And it's over now to our next group member of this wonderful group, 13th hole, par 5, 512 meters for the asking. It's Park Ji-young, driving distance of 223 meters for her. She is a long hitter. And she's gone in with the draw as well. That's so important. I do believe she's got it fairly close to her group members. Im Jin-hee just trying to keep that distance in mind and the direction. Keep in mind the fact that we've still got a fair bit of wind, 6 kilometers per hour. We're talking of third stroke for her on the 13th hole, 122 meters to it. Needs an elevation of about 12.4 meters and above. She should be satisfied with that effort. Here's Lee Da-yeon. Third stroke on hole number 13, 91 meters to the hole, 9.2 meters plus elevation. That's what she's looking at. Bit of a chilly dip on that one, I would have thought. She did see, of course, the turf, well, just being chipped a tad bit. He would have been 8 under par so far. Oh, that would have been such a spectacular finish for her. I'd still say 10 on 10 for that attempt. Well, she was one of the front runners yesterday as well. She's still there in contention, sitting in the tied second position. And that's the 13th hole we were talking about. Definitely a tad bit of a tough hole. You've got a few well-capped boxes in there, but you can definitely avoid them. It's one of the toughest uphill holes to get to. And it tends to be very, very difficult when you're actually close to the green or close to the pin. It's a fair distance. It's not too broad, not too narrow either. And that's really that downhill spot which is right before the flagstick. Well, did mention it was an uphill hole and probably the toughest in the whole course. So on hole number 13, here's Hankyung going in with a second. She's kept herself on the lean, so I don't think she's going to be too well concerned about that. Meanwhile, Lee Da-yeon and she'll have to skip picking up an under par finish on this hole. Park Ji-young with her attempt, her second for hole number 13. Downhill here, but all uphill after that. And I think she's done fairly well as well to keep herself in good stead of getting to a birdie. Park Min-ji. Her second stroke on hole number 13, 285 meters to the hole, an elevation of 19.4 meters. Well, a good bit of wrist action in there. Didn't swing too much. Just watching her follow through. Just a very, very strong wrist action. Gave that ball a good bit of a aggressive chip, I'd say. Here's Im Jin-hee. Will attempt a birdie on hole number 13. This group just keeping in line with what the other group's doing. That's the Park Min-ji group. And that sits right on the edge. Definitely afraid of the dark here, this ball. There's no doubt about it. Just a quick joke there between our golfers, keeping the mood light. Im Jin-hee finishes on par for her 13th. Had a quick word and a smile there from Lee Da-yeon. Hyo Da-win will finish on par for that 10th hole. Remember, it's always that tricky hole we talk of, just past the turn and into the back nine. Here's Lee Da-yeon. Will look to finish her 13th hole on par as well. And that's lipped out. Well, wasn't really expecting that myself, but sometimes the challenges can be many, and Lee Da-yeon will, I don't think she should have too much of a worry with this, of course, but she wouldn't have wanted to bogey that, and that's exactly why. She just got that resigned smile and a grim look. Choi Rim looking for birdie, and that's going to be a Cuban for her as well, so we'll try and wrap it up there with an on par finish. Well, it's back to Hong Ji-won. On to her third stroke for hole 13. And that's flown the green for certain. I don't think she was expecting that, but what does happen sometimes, doesn't it? Teeing off at hole 14. My favorite hole because it's got that beautiful vehicle in the background. Absolutely love those set of wheels. Hong Jung-min. Driving accuracy has been 90% today. 156 meters to cover for hole 14. Remember, hole in one is what every single golfer wants from this hole. Place herself fairly towards the left, quite a distance towards the left of the flagstick. Meanwhile, Park Min-ji gets on to her third stroke. We did speak about how difficult this hole really can be. And I think she'll be fairly satisfied with that. Gives her a shooting opportunity, which is one of her skill sets from a distance. And if she can putt from quite a few meters away. Now Im Jin-hee will tee off for the 14th hole. She's using a 5 iron, 156 meters, and the par 3 is the asking. Had an eagle yesterday, just kind of waiting for one today as well. Always love to see the big bird fly, but it's been just a few birdies here for our golfers. I think most of the golfers today, and it's definitely got to do with a bit of that wind resistance that does mar the way you can actually gauge your shots. Remember, it's on a day when there's practically no wind resistance that you can actually gauge your shots 100% accurate, or 98 or 99%. Now here's Lee Da-yeon as she tees off for the 14th as well. 2 under par, not her best, keeping in mind the fact that we are at a stage of the event where we're heading towards the end of round 2, in the latter part of round 2, and I think this is where you really need to hit your stride. You need to find yourself in the zone, otherwise it can be quite a worrying factor. Decent placement there from Lee Da-yeon. That surface will just carry the ball a tad bit away. So quickly, Lee Da-yeon and Lee Shu-ying still with that 10 under par. They lead the way right at the top of the table. Jun Se-young, Lee Won and Hyo Da-bin are in tied third with an 8 under par. Lee So-mei, Hyun Se-lin are in tied sixth with 7 under par. Very, very interesting as the leaderboard shows us, and it's going to be interesting to find out what exactly we can come up with. So we continue with our coverage of this super event in such a beautiful, location, great atmosphere in here. This, of course, is the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Cup 2023. Started with 132 golfers, and that's pretty much half day today. We're coming at you live from the Fortune Hills Country Club right here in Sangseong Bukri, Gunamyeon, Pocheonsi, Gyeonggi-do, Korea Republic. And the reason why I gave you the full address is, of course, I do love this place. I love it for the atmosphere, the surroundings, absolutely marvelous. So Min-ji Park is really the star that we've been concentrating on today. She was the winner last year. Left to be seen whether she can hold it together, because Lee Da-yeon is still leading the way here at the top of the table. Still got a few holes left for Park Min-ji, so can change things around. Remember, 800 million Korean won is the prize money, or that's 616,489 USD. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us as we take you right through towards the end of round two. It's been an interesting round for us. The weather's held up. It's been fairly pleasant. Hot as far as the temperature is concerned, but the sun has kind of played hide and seek behind the clouds for most part of the day. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Hong Ji-won, remember they're on hole number 13. Needs to get herself out of the rough. Her fourth stroke. Would have thought that would have scaled the difficulty and actually found its way home, but we'll have to settle for an on par here on hole number 13. There's no doubt about it. Meanwhile, just off the grid in that second position, he would have been, to be fair, in tied third. 10 meters is what she was looking at for the birdie. That's just a Cuban for her as well. She's got a smile on her face. Do love that beige outfit. It's very, very classy actually. Well, you do see, you know, great amount of outfits that are, it's almost formal if you ask me. Yoda Beam just bringing a bit of a change to her attire here today. Yes, Choi Yi-rim looking for birdie on hole number 16. Oh, that ball definitely needed a bit more coaxing. I don't think she'll be too happy with that, but she could have finished it just a few inches. 2 inches, probably. And that's pretty much done it for her. She'll finish with an on par on the 16. 2 more holes to go for the day. Don't think it's really been her fanciest effort, but I do believe that she'll keep it together. Time to move on to Park Ji-young. Looking for birdie on hole number 13. And what a narrow miss. What an absolutely narrow miss for her. Well, always one of those tough holes, isn't it? Hole number 13. It can be one of those that you don't really see as being too easy. It does, kind of draw you out. Lee Da-yeon. Looking for birdie on hole number 14. And she has achieved it. That's really a sigh of relief from her as well. A birdie on that back nine on hole number 14. She's up to 3 under par. And that puts a smile on her face. That's so important. Im Jin-hee searching for birdie on hole number 14. And that's just about another challenge for her. She'll have to settle for an on par, I do believe. Meanwhile, yes, Park Min-ji. What can she come up with here? Had 2 wonderful efforts in the previous holes, hole number 11 and 12. Looking for birdie on hole number 13. Oh, just a narrow miss. Just gauged that a tad bit. Well, that curving just a tad bit away from what she desired, but will finish it easily here with an on par. Would have liked to have settled for a birdie, but that hole 13 can be quite an effort. 2 wonderful birdies on 11 and 12. And I think really her undoing was that bogey on the 10th hole. But she's always got a positive outlook. Now, here goes Hong Ji-won. Will also finish her 13th on par. Just like her group members. No change in the leaderboard, as you can see, but Hyo Da-bin is looking strong there, along with Lee Yi-won and Jun Yi-sung in a tied third. Lee Ga-young and Lee Shu-ying still stand strong with their efforts. The 14th hole, as we can see, always an interesting one as well. It's got a par 3, just 156 meters that you're looking at. It's not really, well, too far if you ask me, but you just got to be careful of that decline as you see towards that edge of the green and more towards that right side. There's a hazard on the left and OB area on the right, but it's a short hole and you can comfortably well overcome this challenge on the green. I think, and that's very important when you're trying to get a view of what you can achieve here on hole number 14. So getting ready to tee off will be Park Min-ji. Remember, this hole in one still desired here on hole number 14, because then you don't have to go back home in your own vehicle. You can go home in a new vehicle, which will also be your own. 156 meters. I'm very confident there with that drive. Park Min-ji. She's put herself fairly close to the flagstick. I do believe that she would have liked to have got it a tad bit closer. The rock formation there always reminds me of, it looks like the 3 Apostles, not the 12. The ones that you see on the Great Ocean Drive in Melbourne. It's a very interesting layout for me, those rocks there. Lee Da-yeon teeing off for hole number 15. It's a draw from her. I do believe would have liked to have kept it on the lean, but she's landed in the rough. Still have to, of course, go through the motions for that. Now it's Hong Ji-won who will tee off for hole number 14. Park Ji-young gets ready to take, well, her shot. Hong Ji-won was just talking about how she's been fairly accurate with the tee off. Puts herself into fairly decent position. Im Jin-hee teeing off for hole number 15. It's a par 4 for the asking, 347 meters. And her group just slightly ahead of Park Min-ji, Park Ji-young and Hong Ji-won. And here's a golfer who's really been through the motions today. I do feel for her. She's fallen shy of that birdie just by a few inches, about a meter, 1.5 meters. Park Bo-kyum teeing off for hole number 16, uses a 6-iron. 149 meters is what we're looking at. And I think that's an absolutely wonderful shot from her. Oh, it could have been a hole-in-one. It could have been. Just missing out on an ace there. But I think she will be happy if she can just finish off with a birdie on this hole. Just narrowly away from the target, isn't it? But wonderful, absolutely wonderful effort from Park Bo-kyum. So the leaderboard still with Lee Ga-young at the top and Lee Shu-ying. That's held together, and I'd really love to see if there's a change in that at the end of the day. We've still got a few golfers, who can make the cut here, and that'll be interesting to see. And especially Hyo Da-bin, she's been in very good form. So can she actually upset the apple cart, finish off with a 10 under par, get into a tie at first maybe? I think that's the interesting bit. So do stay with us. Don't go anywhere as the action continues right here at the Fortune Hills Country Club. Let's welcome you back to the action at the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Open Cup. This, of course, is being played at the Fortune Hills Country Club, and we are looking at this specific group, two groups actually, but it's Park Ji-young, Hong Ji-won, and Park Min-ji that are in focus. Park Ji-young for her second on the 14th hole, attempting for birdie. Just made my heart skip a beat as well. Sure did the same to Park Ji-young. But always, she's had so many challenges, and I think that's been the interesting thing about this course today. Yesterday, a lot of golfers did miss out on really finishing under par on many holes, but today it's been a huge challenge. Here's Hyoda Bin, one of the contenders in this tournament. Definitely, she's got an 8 under par, 139 meters to the hole. Her second stroke, and it's going to be interesting to see how she fares. Keeping herself well, still very much. And this is what I was talking about, right? So the wind and those inclines, those slopes, well, on the green itself, they make such a big difference. Well, they can work towards your advantage, or they can work against you. Yes, Park Bo-kyum will aim to finish with a birdie on this one, and yes, she does, and that's going to be such a big sigh of relief for her. She's had a really tough day at the office. She's been in very good form, very consistent with her drives. She's very consistent with teeing off, landing herself in on that second shot, putting herself close to the flagstick, but she's had her worries. Over to Hong Ji-won, also aiming for birdie on a 14th hole. And yes, she nails it. She'll be happy about that. That will take her score up by a notch. She's on to a 4 under par now with her birdie on the 14th. Still got 4 holes to go, Hong Ji-won, but she's excited about that. And that's really what counts, isn't it? When you finally do find a tad bit of success after you've had a few trying times. Lee Da-yeon onto a second stroke, 119 meters with a 6.5 plus elevation, 6.5 meters. But it's a par 4 for the asking. Left to be seen what she finishes with here today. She's put herself onto the green, and well, that ball will stay put. Park Min-ji. Oh, that slipped out. She's unfortunate here. There was such a good chance for her to have finished off with the birdie. She'll have to settle for an on par. But that was such an amazing attempt. Still with a 6 under par. She's got another 4 holes to go for the day, and I think those 4 are really going to count now, because she's got to try and finish with an 8 under par or a 10 if possible, to keep herself in the running for the title. Hong Jung-min, 108 meters. She'll go in with the 9 iron for hole 15. It's a second stroke. She's put herself on the green, and I think she'll be fairly happy with that effort. Meanwhile, yes, Choi Rim aims for birdie. She'll narrowly miss out on it once again. That expression from her will really tell us a bit of a story. She's been aiming to finish on higher ground in the contest, and it will be interesting if she can. It's an on-par finish as well for her. Quick acknowledgement. Just having a quick conversation a while back, just yesterday actually, after round 1 with a friend about golf attire and how. I mean, I'm a cap collector and I love caps, but how golf caps do make a difference. Using a pitching wedge, it's a bit of a very, very unique choice for many golfers. But Im Jin Hee, she's a seasoned golfer, knows what she wants. So we're on to the 15th hole now. A par 4 for the asking, 347 meters. And this is an interesting hole, isn't it? There's a rocky island in the hazard at the tee shot, which can be very intimidating. But the wide fairway behind, well, that's actually what makes for a better, movement for the golfers. Now the bunker in front, well, that's a bit of a worry, because if you hit your tee shot, it's a relatively short hole, but there's also a hidden bunker that is right behind the green, and that is the one that you shot, because even from your second shot, you don't really have sight of that bunker, so you need to be very careful. I think what really matters for this is there's also a bit of a decline there towards the end of the green. What's really important for hole number 15 is your club selection, and it will come into play when you actually get onto that area of the green. So Hong Ji-won will tee off par 4, as we said, for hole number 15. Driving distance has been about 210 meters for her today, and she's got herself onto the rough. But as long as she can escape now that's going to be a bit tough to get yourself out of, because if you want to get yourself out of the tall grass and across that hazard, this is the hazard that can be very, very intimidating. But well, not for these golfers. Park Min-ji, she's got a draw on that one, just off the rough and onto the lean, and I think that's interesting. She will be happy with that effort. She's just kept herself in good stead here. Park Ji-young will go next. She's on an even score. Remember, she had a bogey a while back, wasn't too happy about that. Driving accuracy has been about 90% for her. 347 meters is a good asking, but basically it's just about scaling that first hazard. And she's kept herself fairly straight, unlike her other two group members. Lee Da-yeon will aim for birdie on hole number 15. This is her third stroke. 16.4 meters to the hole, not the easiest. She's also got to navigate through that slight bit of a decline there from it's a tad bit downhill going towards the can. And a nudge is so important, but how much of pressure do you really put in on that just curves to the left? So Lee Da-yeon will miss out on finishing under par on this hole. Meanwhile, yes, Ko Ji-yoo, she's on to her last hole for round 2. 67 meters to the hole. On the 18th, it's a third stroke. Well, I'd say that's a decent enough spot for her. She's kept herself strong on the green. Hong Jung-min aiming for birdie, and she nails it on hole number 15. And that's going to give her an even score. She's got 3 more holes to go. She's had 3 bogeys today, and I think that's been, her undoing. Bae So Hyun has chipped that out very well. She's also on to hole number 18. The golfers here looking to finish off their day's event. It's off to Im Jin Hee. Or over to Im Jin Hee, who will look to finish this with a birdie on hole number 15. Don't think that should pose too much of a challenge for her. Just about 4 feet, 4.5 feet. And she's kept it clean, kept it simple, and definitely a lot of joy for her here today. So it's a 3 under par. She'll be very happy about that. 3 more holes to go for her. And well, this golfer, who's come very elegantly attired today, here been not taking anything away from the other golfers, but just love that beige color. So attempting a birdie on a 12th, and yes, she'll finish with a birdie. Now that takes her up to a 9 under par. And I think this is interesting. This is where it gets interesting. She was one of the leaders yesterday. Had a few worries. Only 2 birdies here today, but she's been neutral with the others. And I think this is what gets very interesting, because it's going to be a change in the leaderboard as we look at it once again in a while from now. Lee Da-yeon attempting to finish on par on a 15th. And it can't get tougher than that. That's lipped out, which is going to force her to bogey that. I think she just had to soak it in for a bit, stalled. And there's a slight incline there towards the cannon. I think that's what she's really looking at. Doesn't want to finish with a double bogey. It's bad enough. Missing out on an on-par finish. Just acknowledging the applause, but she's had 2 bogeys, the one on the 13th and of course the 15th, and that's dragged her score down to a 2 under par overall. So Hyoda Bin now is in 3rd position after that tied number 1 with Lee Ga-young and Lee Shu-ying. Now aiming to get out of the rough here is Hong Ji-won. He's got a fairly well confident way of getting out of it. 137 meters to the hole that she's looking at on a 2nd stroke. And I think she'll be happy with that. She's got onto the green. It's a bit of a distance if she wants to attempt a birdie, but I think she'll still be happy with it. It's back to Ko Ji-yoo. Will attempt a birdie on her last and final hole. Just a very narrow miss. I think she would have liked to have finished on a negative note, which of course would have been an under par finish on this hole. Will settle for an on par, and that's pretty much the end of round 2 for her. Ko Ji-yoo, not a fantastic showing. But she's just got it done with, and she finishes round 2. Off to Park Ji-young now. Second stroke on hole number 15. She's on an even par overall score. And just manages to keep off that rough. Right on the edge there. Over to Park Min-ji. Her second as well for hole 15. 97 meters to the hole. An elevation of about 5.5 meters is what we're looking at. That is an absolutely fantastic shot from her. She's placed herself right next to the flagstick, and she could finish with a birdie here. Wonderful effort from Park Min-ji. 24 years old, will turn 25 in September. Such an amazing golfer to watch in action, Park Min-ji. Here's Bae So-hyun. She's on to her fourth. And she'll finish with a birdie to end off her round 2. I think she'll be delighted with that. Always good to finish with a positive. 37 on the front 9, 35 on the back 9, and a 2 under par overall finish. Well, not the brightest, and might put out of contention for that, final round. But she's still happy to finish on a positive. Now at hole 16, yes, Hankyung Min. She tees off, 149 meters for the asking. It's a par 3 that we're looking at. So interesting times here for us as we continue with action. Im Jin-hee is next to tee off. Hole 16 also is a very interesting hole. Im Jin-hee getting ready. It's got a hazard on the left, a cliff on the right. It's a bit of a daunting 3-hole, reminiscent of an island green. You've got to keep to the left side from the center, and that should keep you pretty steady. There's a lot of room at the back of the green, so it's good to choose 1 or 2 clubs longer. That sailed beautifully onto the green. Still a bit of a distance from, well, the destination. I think Im Jin-hee will take it. Here's Hong Ji-won. Hole 15. Will aim for birdie. She's 4 under par so far. She's been consistent with the performances. Nothing spectacular, but just consistent. And she'll pick up a Cuban on that one. We'll have to settle for an on-par finish. Here's Choi Rim. She's still on the lean. Needs to take a position on the rough, standing on the rough, that is. It's a 3rd stroke. And that incline, she's going to draw that ball a tad bit away from the flagstick. But it's a decent enough effort from her. I do believe that negating that area, well, actually conquering that next effort will be so important for her. She keeps a smile as well. Always lovely to watch her. Well, ladies in action, they're always pleasant, always have good spirit, keep those smiles up. Park Ji-young now aiming for birdie on the 15th, and she's nailed it finally. What a sigh of relief. I think that pretty much says it for her. It's a first birdie for the day, and it's happened on hole number 15, and she's finally got a smile on her face. She's finally got relief there. It took a bit of time. Here's another golfer who did have a sigh of relief in her, well, just 2 holes back. On her 17th, Park Bo-kyung aiming for birdie. We'll have to settle for an on-par, but she would have been far ahead of the game had she been able to nail, well, all those birdie opportunities that she had today. Park Min-ji aiming for birdie on hole number 15. And that's another narrow miss for her. well, I do believe it's just that slight slope there that kind of spoiled the party for her, and she will finish with an on par once again. 3 holes left to play in this round for Park Min-ji. It's over to Yuseo Yeon. She's on to her last and final hole for the round. Will attempt a birdie on this. And that's through as well. Got to keep those flag sticks out of the way, don't you? So she'll finish on a positive note. Yuseo Yeon finishes with 38 on the front 9, 35 on the back 9, an overall score of 3 under par. She did have a bogey, a double bogey on the first hole of the day, but she finishes on a birdie. And what a fantastic way. You start on a bad note, you finish on a positive note. Well, that's what life's always about, isn't it? It's just about conquering everything. And she's had neutrals, and on par finishes right through in between. Im Jin-hee now attempting a birdie for the 16th hole. We'll have to settle for an on par, there's no doubt about it, on hole number 16. Now here's the golfer who's in 3rd position, Hyoda Bin, onto her 3rd stroke, 117 meters for the 13th hole, 12.7 meters plus elevation. I think it's going to be interesting to see whether she can, well, nail it here. And I think she just, well, a bit too much of club on that. She's flown the green and might have to rein it in. If she could finish with the birdie here, well, I'll tip my hat off to her. Not wearing one, but I will put it on just for her next effort. Hong Jung-min aiming for birdie on her 16th hole. She's on an even score. And just a really narrow miss, so it's going to be an on-par finish for her. And it's over at the other end to Choi Yi-rim, who'll look to finish with a birdie on her 18th and final hole for round 2. She's picked up a Cuban on that one. She's really disappointed, but she'll finish with an on par. Would have liked to have finished with the birdie today. Puts her, remember, the better your score, of course, puts you in good contention for the next day. She will finish gracefully, but Choi Yi-rim hasn't had the best day at office and she knows it. It's off to Im Jin-hee. Looking to finish on par on hole number 16. And that's exactly what she does. So Im Jin-hee finishes with a 3 under par so far. 2 more holes for her to go. So Hyoda Bin is just, one behind Lee Ga-young and Lee Shu-ying. Well, just one more birdie for her would see her at the tied first position. Park Min-ji, has just about stalled herself, and she would have been in a better position, but she's just got herself, in that tied 8th to be precise, and she needs to get out of it. It's been a bit of a jinx there, that 6 under par for her. Would definitely like to have scaled higher ground. Lee So-mi finished off, of course, her day's event with 7 under par. Han Ji-won just behind Park Min-ji in tied 13th with a 5 under par. And here we go on to hole number 16. Park Ji-young with her effort. It's a par 3 for the asking. Remember what I said earlier, there's a hazard on the left and a cliff on the right. It's a bit of a threatening hole, reminiscent of an island green. You got to attack the left side from the center. There's a lot of room at the back of the green, so it's good to choose a club that is longer. Your club selection is very important. Park Ji-young has got herself onto the green, but remember it's a par 3 that we're looking at, so the closer to that flagstick, well, it's so important. Well, for my money, he has been one of the movers of today. Very consistent. Hyoda Bin. And that, well, those voices will just tell you a bit. So close yet so far. She'll have to settle for an on-par finish for this one. Remember, she's still got a chance. It's another birdie that she really requires to get there to the top. In joint first position. Up next it's Han Ji-won. Han Ji-won will tee off for hole number 16. Here's Park Min-ji on her 16th hole tee off. Im Jin-hee tees off for a 17th, 349 meters, the distance to be covered. A par 4 for the asking. She's on 3 under par, the overall score. Straight on to the rough. Hyoda Bin. Done nothing wrong today. She's kept herself on par there with that finish. It's been an interesting, well, event for her today. She's gracefully gone through her business. And here, teeing off for hole 17, it's Lee Da-yeon. And Lee Da-yeon keeping herself off the lane. She's found herself on the rough, but of course will have to find a way out of it. Shouldn't be too much of a worry for her. So that's the leaderboard. Lee Da-yeon, Lee Shuing at the top of the 10 under par, tied first. Hyoda Bin in third with 9 under par. Jun Se-young and Lee A-won are consistent, but they are in tied fourth now with 8 under par after Hyoda Bin moved up. Lee So-mi, Hyun Se-lin are in tied sixth with 7 under par, and Park Min-ji along with Jung Ji-min has been, of course, stuck at tied 8. She's also got, it's a quintet of golfers there at the tied 8th. Han Ji-won is in tied 13th with 5 under par, and she's got well, a whole group of golfers to contend with as well. Keeping in mind the fact that we're down to hole 16, let's very quickly sum this day up for you. It's been a very interesting day. Lee Gai-yong, one of the Dawn sweepers, she finished off, at the top with Lee Shu-ying. But Hyoda Bin, for our money, has been one of the golfers to watch in today's event in round 2. We will see all of them in action tomorrow. But Park Min-ji, what can she do to get to the top? Well, that is important. Well, do stay with us. Don't go anywhere as we continue with our coverage of the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Open Cup, which is a part of the KLPGA. We just got past a major in the last week, and that, of course, was won by Han Ji-won. It was a fantastic event. It was the DB Group Korea Open Women's Open Golf Championship that was played out on the 18th of June. That, of course, was for a decent amount of prize money, which was 1,200 million Korean won. Let's not forget Park Min-ji gave us a delightful 11th of June Celtrian Queens Masters, which was also for that same amount of prize money. And it's going to be interesting because the other major played out was on the 30th of April, which was the Korea's FNC KLPGA Championship, and that was 1,300 million Korean won, the overall prize money that was won by Lee Da-yeon. So very interesting to see how we progress through this event. To be precise, of course, we've still got a bit more to go as far as hole 16 is concerned, but a very interesting round of golf today, and interesting to watch some of the changes and some of the movers in the leaderboard. We will, of course, give you the highlights as well as the leaderboard right at the end of today's coverage. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us as we continue with the action right here. Here's Park Min-ji. Chip that beautifully, and that's going to find its way home. Oh, that is absolutely fabulous. Park Min-ji got a birdie on the 16th. She's gone up to a 7 under par. Oh, she's been fantastic. 6 birdies today, just 1 bogey for the count. She's been in the zone, and I think that this is so important. Absolutely delightful to watch in action. She's a late settler. Takes a bit of time to get into the event itself. Yesterday had many trying times. She kept that smile up, kept her spirit up, stayed positive right through. That I would think is also a decent enough effort to get yourself close to the flagstick. I do believe that we've still got a bit more action left in this event, but let's also very quickly remind you that we've still got Park Ji-young and Hong Ji-won, who are Park Min-ji's group members, aiming for birdie on the 16th. She had a birdie on the last one, and there was such a sigh of relief for her. That one's just going to stay away. We'll have to settle for an on par on the 16th. She'll clean it up easy, so no worries here for her. Would have liked to have got herself into a better spot. She's missed out on so many birdies today. At the other end, of course, it's Im Jin Hee, who's on the 17th hole. This is the second stroke. Needs to get out of that rough. 128 meters for the asking. And she's still on the rough itself. Tad bit worrying for her. Just wondering about a choice of club for that one. Park Bo Kyum on a third stroke for hole number 18. And she's flown the green as well on that one, just outside on the edge. Yes, Hong Ji-won. Can she finish with the birdie on hole number 16 and emulate what Park Min-ji did? So close yet so far. It's always the case, isn't it? She'll clean that up with an on-par finish on hole number 16. It's been a wonderful round of golf so far from all our golfers. Keep in mind the fact that we shall, of course, have glimpses of the day to show you so far. And that, of course, will be followed by our entire summary of the leaderboard to see where exactly our golfers have well finished off today. It's going to be a very interesting round 3. Well, yesterday we had, two movers up there in front, and the only Thyora Beam who's remained, in contention. She's stayed consistent over, 2 rounds of golf. Park Bo Kyum will have to settle here for an on par. There's no doubt about it. I think it's going to be a sigh of relief for her to have finished off the day's event. She's had some real trials. So Park Bo Kyum ends off round 2 as well. It's over to Choi Yun-woo, looking for birdie on the 18th, and she'll nail it. Always great to finish with a winning shot. So Choi Yun-woo, a 36 on the front, 35 on the back 9, finishes with the birdie. He has 3 birdies and 2 bogeys for today, and an overall score of 2 under par. And that, of course, is going to be an interesting one here for our next golfer, which is Im Jin Hee. She's had her trials as well. Looking to finish on par for hole number 17. And that's just gently lipped out. Well, she's not going to be too happy with that finish, but she'll have to. We'll just accept it as it is. So here we go, just glimpses of what's happened in the day gone by, right there on the 3rd hole. But we had a few interesting, efforts. On the 2nd hole. And it was an interesting one from Lee Won. Just looking at the best shots for the 4th hole, of course, for that tee off. Absolutely fantastic placement there. And a good chance to really nail the difference for the 5th hole. That was so close to the flagstick. Well, these were, of course, that was Lee So-mi. She's such an exciting golf prospect, isn't she, always? And on the 17th hole, of course, we have the leader. And that was such a nice finish for Ri Shuing, who wasn't tied first, of course. And then on the 8th hole, such a fine finish, absolutely great form from her. That was Lee Ga-young. She was fantastic yesterday, and today she just stepped up the performance as well. So on the 18th hole, joint leader there, Ri Shuing. And she kept it together as well. Absolutely fine finish. Ri Shuing along with Lee Ga-young in that first position. She's had a fantastic day today. We missed out on a lot of the action because she was, as I said earlier, among the early risers. And that little bit of coaxing certainly would have helped. The ball, of course, listened and behaved. And it was a very, very good birdie there for Lee Ga-young. She had 3 consecutive birdies on, the 13th, 14th and 15th. She was really, really in fine form. Another decent placement there. And on the 11th, what a fine, birdie that was for us. Absolutely loved it from Park Min-ji. And then she gave us another one with that gentle banana ball. Well, this was 11th and a 12th. Absolutely fantastic, those 2 consecutive birdies. She really was the star to watch in today's event. We have not been right there in the top region, but what a performance from her. Very elegant as always. And here, of course, was Hyoda Bin. She, of course, also kept herself in the running, put herself into a 3rd position with that effort. It was absolutely fantastic from her. She was the leader yesterday, a joint leader, but yeah, she's done extremely well. So Hyoda Bin, she did get herself into a very strong position. Another beautiful birdie we saw there from Park Ji-min, straight off the rough. That was on the 16th hole. Finished that off in style. So that's pretty much, what we saw in today's event. Let's quickly take a look at the leaderboard. It's Lee Ga-young and Lee Shuing, of course, who reign at the top with 10 under par and tied first. Hyoda Bin, of course, is in 3rd with 9 under par. Jun Se-young and Lee A-won in tied 4th with 8 under par. Lee So-mi, Park Min-ji and Hyun Se-lin with 7 under par are in tied 6th. And then you've got the quartet in tied 9 with Jung Ji-min, Bae Soo-yeon, Kwon Seo-yeon and Park Dan-yu. Han Ji-won, Kim Ji-soo and Ro Seung-hee take up a tied 13th. And these are the golfers that we're probably going to watch in action tomorrow. So from the BC card, Hankyung Ladies Open Cup, right here at the Fortune Hills Country Club, where we've been coming at you live. It's time for us, of course, to shut shop and ship out of here. We'll be back with you tomorrow to take you through round 3 and to find out who will win this mega event. From me, Glenn Mascarenas, it's goodbye for now. Catch you again tomorrow.